college athletics, meaning coaches can contact players whenever and as often as they want. Experts in the field think other rules regarding contact with boosters and fans on social media will be reined in as well. Just this year, former Polk running back Thurman Thomas got OSU in some hot water with standout recruit Laquan Treadwell. He inadvertently
Welcome into One-on-One live from Sunlink Channel 112, OSU Student Radio, KXZY. Live on Facebook and YouTube as well. Logan, it is a big day. We are on the eve of Boise State.
Yep.
It's an exciting day in Stillwater.
It's a nervous day for me.
For you, it's nervous.
Yeah.
Why are you nervous?
Boise State's a big game for us. I think obviously it's not the biggest game of the year. Obviously, that's Bedlam. But, I mean, this is the biggest game we've had so far, and I think it's going to be the biggest game till we have Bedlam. Because, I mean, Boise State's nothing to mess around with. We've had 2 easy games before this. I don't know if it's going to be so easy for the Cowboys tomorrow.
It's going to be a very, very tough game. Oklahoma State has to limit their mistakes, but we'll get into that at the bottom of this segment. We're going to go around college football. We're going to start with the Big 12 because there is some big games in the Big 12 alone. But ironically enough, the big games in the Big 12, we're going to talk about them when we talk about our top 25 teams. So we'll leave Oklahoma out of it. Rutgers and Kansas. The Jayhawks are favored.
2.5, it dropped. They opened at -3. Now they're -2.5.
Yeah,
that's not good news if you're a Jayhawks fan.
No, but Vegas is coming to their senses, it seems like. But Kansas came off a big win at Central Michigan, which Central Michigan being a big win is laughable. But they did finally are 1-1. They are favored over a Power 5 team for the first time since 2009. Who are you taking in this game?
Rock chalk. I'm taking the Jayhawks, baby. They're at home. They're coming off a big win. I don't think they're going to come out flat because, I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times, but they've evaluated the football program, and I think those guys want to stay around. So I'm taking Kansas.
Well, Rutgers is the only reason that Kansas isn't the worst Power 5 football program in the country. They were until last Saturday, but they are the bottom 2. I guess I'll take Kansas as well. I certainly predicted that they would get dominated at Central Michigan, and they didn't. So, fun game, 11 o'clock kickoff. I'm sure everyone is going to wake up early for that game. The over-under is 43.5. What are you taking, the over-under?
Taking the under.
Yeah, it'd be a miracle if those two teams could get to 43.5, but you never know. So, we're both taking the Jayhawks. Good luck to Kansas because if you're 2-1, man, Lawrence is going to get wild. Baylor and Duke. I guess not really football schools. One of them is a basketball school, but Baylor's just a joke all around because of what they've done. So I can't support Baylor. I think Matt Rule's doing a good job at cleaning up the program, but I mean it's not all on him, and they're 2-0, but they haven't played anybody. So Duke at Baylor. The over/under is 49.5. Baylor's -6-point favorite. Who are you taking?
Is Coach K? Does he coach the Duke football team too?
He probably might as well, but no, he doesn't. David Cutcliffe does.
If Coach K is not coaching a team at Duke, I'm going to take the other team. Well, I'm taking Baylor.
David Cutcliffe's an all right coach. He does a lot for being a football coach at Duke. He's a good coach. A lot of history with Peyton Manning. Yeah. He's a good coach. I'm going Duke. I think Duke will win probably by 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
Baylor has a lot better athletes, but like I said, they lost to Liberty. So
yeah.
I know it was a year ago.
How to force a student athlete to accept their friend request or follow them on Twitter, and private domain issues with student athletes. They have information that the public can't see on Facebook. That's protected even from the coaches unless the athlete chooses to disclose that. So the coaches need to be aware on what's going on in their respective states so they can avoid a First Amendment lawsuit potentially and costly costs to the school, as well as bad publicity.
Most top universities invest millions in their athletes, with most schools making much more than they spend. Should individual coaches or the athletic program
team like they played last week, it's not going to be pretty. It's definitely going to be K-State.
So Houston at Texas Tech. This is an interesting game because Texas got beat pretty bad by Ole Miss in the first game of the season, lost their starting quarterback. Houston last week took care of their old head coach, Kevin Sumlin, in Arizona, but Arizona's awful. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. Interesting game. I think that Houston beats Texas Tech. They're 1.5-point favorite. The over/under is 69. I'll take the over, and I'll take the Cougars all day.
I'm taking Texas Tech at home. Wow. It's hard to pick against a home team. Like, I know Texas Tech is nothing special.
Yeah, but well, that's one way of putting it. They're special.
They're pretty bad.
They're just,
But, I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for Houston to go into Lubbock and win a game.
Everyone else does. I mean, it's not like that's a huge, maybe a night game in Lubbock's a little tricky, but Houston all day.
I have a gut feeling. My gut is telling me Texas Tech by 10. I'm sticking with that.
Well, 2 college quarterbacks are head coaches. Major Applewhite, Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah, give me Major all day. He won't have a job at the end of the year. That Cliff Kingsbury at Texas Tech. Now the interesting game, Ohio State and TCU. We're going to handle that in the top 25, as well as USC and Texas, excuse me. But the game that's canceled, and we do want to talk about it, West Virginia and NC State is canceled. East Carolina and Virginia Tech is canceled, and UCF and North Carolina canceled. Those are all top 25 teams that aren't playing this weekend. And there's some other games canceled all across college sports. But at the end of the day, it's not about a canceled game. It's about Hurricane Florence. And so we are thinking about people involved in that hurricane. But Mountaineers aren't playing this week. So hopefully everyone stays safe there. Now let's get to our top 25 games. The real fun begins. And there is a couple big games in the Big 12 alone that are in the top 25. We'll start with OU. They're going up to Iowa State. Iowa State's only played 1 game. They lost that game. So they scored 3 points on the season. Not really a good start for Matt Campbell and the Cyclones. But last year, Ohio State kicked the crap out of OU and Norman.
Ames
Very
is tricky.
fun to watch. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock kickoff in Ames.
Ames is tricky.
Well,
it'll ruin a season. The whole town in general.
OU is 18.5-point favorites. The over-under is 54.5. I'm taking the over by OU alone. OU dominates Iowa State. Dominates.
I don't think OU's going to – I think Iowa State's going to cover. I think OU's going to win. But, I mean, it's tricky to play in Ames. And, I mean, I have trouble picking against Iowa State, so I'm going to go a little unorthodox. OU wins, but Iowa State covers. They're not going to win by 18.5.
Well, covering would still be a blowout almost.
Yes, but I'm trying to find some positive for Iowa State. Like
There's
you said,
no
they've only
positive
scored.
If you're Iowa State, you're Iowa State.
They've only scored 3 points, like you said. They got to have something.
Yeah, they did not play well at Iowa. First game got canceled by weather. Vanderbilt at Notre Dame. Now, I talk about this game because last week, after week 1, Notre Dame dominated Michigan, but at the end of the day, they didn't play well against Ball State, only won 24-16. So that's why that game's on our list. Notre Dame's 13.5-point favorite. The over-under is 51.5. I'm taking the under, and I'm going to take Notre Dame, but in another close one, which proves that Brian Kelly is not an elite coach.
See, I'm going to take Notre Dame. I'm going to take the under, but Notre Dame's going to win by more than 13.5. I think this is at least a 2-touchdown game. Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, Vanderbilt's
They beat my Wolverines. I got to believe in them a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. But with the game at Ball State, I mean, it just kind of proves that they're not great. Another interesting game that'll probably end up in a blowout. Before Jordan King, we're going to talk about the 6th-ranked Badgers. They are hosting BYU, who beat Arizona in Week 1 but lost to Cal in Week 2, I believe. 22.5-point favorite for the Badgers. The over-under is 47.5. Not a great game.
No. I think we both picked Wisconsin to be in our playoffs, right?
I did not. I picked Penn State, which is turning out to be a very, very bad decision.
I picked Wisconsin. So, I mean, I'm taking them over. They're going to cover the spread. It's going to be a blowout. Like you said, it's not going to be a good game for BYU. I mean, it's Badgers all day.
Yeah, I'm taking Badgers. I will take the under, but I do think that they win pretty easily. Now, you will regret that decision when Wisconsin scores 7 points in the Big Ten championship game, as always, when they decide to lose their offense. But the big 2:30 CBS game, the SEC matchup that we're all looking for in Jordan-Hare Stadium, maybe they'll need a miracle at Jordan-Hare, but Coach O and the Tigers are coming to Auburn. I don't know. I think it could be a pretty interesting game. Auburn's a 10.5-point favorite, which is kind of remarkable to me. The over-under.
I'm at Oklahoma State and ITLE for helping with this production. For the OSU Sports Media Show, I'm Marissa Belzer.
And I'm Mike Schausch. Remind you to think before you tweet.
To our neighbors and friends, we come to you today to let you know what's on our hearts. Because you're the reason what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow and the power of community. So this is simply thank you. As we step boldly into a time of growth and change, consider this our promise that every
He's a fun guy. I think he tries to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, he's just not a great football coach at this level. And your Michigan Wolverines are playing SMU. We're not going to talk about that because it's SMU. Alabama, Ole Miss, another SEC matchup.
Why do you not like to talk about my teams? You don't
really
like to talk about UCF. You don't like to talk about Michigan.
Well, UCF's game's canceled, and they're playing SMU. So we can get into it if you want to, but the 0-2 Mustangs, not great.
I'll have my day with both of those teams.
Well,
don't worry.
If you leave right now, there's 822 tickets left at $28, so you could probably make it if you leave right now.
I'm a little bit too busy on Saturday. I can't make time for that.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to be much of a game. Ole Miss is hosting Alabama. Ole Miss is 2-2 in the last 4 years against Alabama. But Hugh Freeze is no longer there.
Yeah.
Matt Luke played offensive line at Ole Miss, kind of took things over. They had a lot of scandals there. Alabama will absolutely blow out Ole Miss. I don't even know who Ole Miss played last week, but it was a no-name, and they had a shootout. That's all I need to know. Over under 69.5. I'm taking the over because I think Ole Miss will score points in the first half. But 21.5-point favorite for the Tide. Alabama will dominate this game.
I'm taking the under. Alabama, they're not involved in a lot of high-scoring games. I don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to score, period. I mean, I also don't think Alabama's going to...
No score at all?
I'm not saying no. Sorry, I don't think they're going to be able to, score a lot of points. I think they can get... I can say 17. I can see them scoring 17. But... Alabama's going to score like 28. It's going to be like 28-17, something like that.
Tua Tagovailoa is a really good quarterback, and Alabama will put up points. I think that's the best offense Alabama's had since Nick Saban got there, and that's saying something. They finally have an elite quarterback in Tuscaloosa. So quickly, let's get through these games. I know it's a big one, but Urban Meyer's last game that he suspended, they are going to TCU. It's technically a neutral game, but they're playing in Arlington at Cowboy Stadium. OSU, or not OSU, don't call them OSU. That's disrespectful. My bad. Ohio State, 13-point favorites against TCU. The over-under is 59.5. I'm going to go ahead and go with the over, but I think that Ohio State dominates. Kind of like Alabama. It's kind of close in the first half, but it's over in the second half.
Maybe. I think TCU is the second best team in the Big 12 right now. I think this is closer than you think. I would not take the over on this, but I don't even know if I take Ohio State to cover the 13-point spread. I want to say I want to take TCU to win, but I don't want to look silly on Monday. But I don't care, actually. TCU wins outright.
Ohio State 59, TCU 21.
You wish.
Ohio State will prove that they're a lot better program. They will. They will play.
I think this is the only game they'll miss Urban Meyer in. I think it's going to show.
Urban Meyer's there from Saturday night to Saturday morning.
But he's not there on the field.
There's it doesn't matter. I don't think the in-game adjustments are that big of a deal. Not when, I don't know. They're good, trust me. USC at Texas. Texas barely beat Tulsa.
USC. I'm taking USC.
USC. That's fair enough. Neither one of them can score. I think it'll be close. Over-under is 47. Vegas is kind of clueless on that one if you ask me. Washington at Utah really quickly.
Washington,
I agree with you. Now, we don't have much time, but we're going to get into Oklahoma State, and we will, because we are in Stillwater, we will save some time later on the show. But I think it is important at 2:30 on Saturday that the Cowboys make very, very minimal mistakes.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen? Well, we will save some time. We will reserve some time. We'll talk about NFL, but we will save some time for the Cowboys because it is the biggest game of the season. One of the biggest games tomorrow in all of college football. The 24th-ranked Cowboys are taking on number 17 Boise State. Brett Rippon is a phenomenal quarterback, so we're going to get into that. But it is time to take a very quick break. But first, we do want to thank one of our sponsors, the Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/Oklahoma for more information about 100% college tuition. We will be right back on One-on-One on OSU Student Radio, KXZY, Suddenlink Channel 112.
Planning your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
It's pretty tough. You know, they were a great team last year and gave us everything we could handle into the championship game. And, you know, they're at it again this year. They got the same players, similar scheme, and is as good as any defense we'll face all year. They got an incredible rush, great linebackers, great secondary. It's going to be very, very challenging, tough environment, and we'll see what we're made of. It's going to be an emotional environment. I think everyone, whenever you play some of the best teams, you want to see where you're measured up to, and you know that defense has been ranked very high all last year, and I could see why. We practiced against them; they were very good. They got a lot of very talented players. Some of the guys that are probably the best at their position. So it's going to be a great environment for football. 4:30 game, so everyone's going to be watching. It should be a really great game for us to go out and see what we're made of.
Welcome back to One on One on OSU Student Radio, KXZY, Sunlink Channel 112, live on Facebook and YouTube as well. We are live from Studio 318 on the beautiful campus of Oklahoma State University on the eve of the biggest game of the season for the Cowboys. But let's jump into the NFL before we get back to tomorrow, Logan. You saw Tom Brady talking there. It is a rematch of the AFC Championship game down in Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey talking trash as always. Gronk's responding a little bit. Let's start with that game because it is interesting to me. Because Jalen Ramsey talks a lot of trash. He is elite, one of the best corners in the National Football League. But they had one good year in Jacksonville. The rest has been hot garbage. So do I really take 1 year at face value that they can compete with the Patriots?
You shouldn't. But I mean,
I don't.
I think one of the reasons they were able to succeed last year, they had one of the best defenses in the league, obviously. Don't want to take anything away from that. But their division was beat up. There was no Andrew Luck. You lost to Deshaun Watson. And the other team in that division's escaping my mind right now.
In the AFC South?
Yeah.
Let's see, you have the Jaguars, Colts, Texans, and Titans.
The Titans, yeah, and I mean the Titans. They made the playoffs, but...
Yeah,
anyway.
let not remind me of that, please.
But, I mean, yeah, Jalen Ramsey can talk all the trash he wants in my mind, because like you said, he's one of the best corners in the entire league.
Yeah.
Gronk, right to respond, one of the best tight ends of all time. And, I mean, Tom Brady can say whatever he wants because he's Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. Jalen Ramsey confuses me because I seriously I don't think anyone's safe with that guy. I mean, I think he would trash talk his grandma.
He said he would hit his grandma on the field, which he was joking, but something's not right if you say that in a joking manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a little crazy. But let's get into our game predictions, and we'll start with that one. New England at Jacksonville. Tom Brady last week, 26-39, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a careless interception. Blake Bortles, 18-33, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception in a pretty boring game at MetLife in New York. And Gronk had 7 receptions, 128 yards, and 1 touchdown. So who are you taking with that game, New England to Jacksonville?
I'm taking New England. I mean,
yeah,
I don't trust Blake Bortles enough. The defense in Jacksonville is fine, but we saw it last year. New England just took care of them in the second half. Jacksonville got complacent. They ran the ball. They might not even have Leonard Fournette on Sunday, as far as I know. I don't know if there's been an update on that, but they have like a set number of plays to run with Blake Bortles that they feel confident in, and when they run out of that, they're just guessing out there, and it does not look good. So I'm taking the Patriots.
Yes, I will take the Patriots in every game ever until they prove me wrong. They lose a few games here and there, like you saw them lose the Super Bowl, but everyone's convinced that the dynasty's over. People don't like each other. I prove me different, because they have had controversy after controversy, and they still make it to the Super Bowl. So let alone Jalen Ramsey and the Jaguars. Give me the Patriots all day, every day. So let's start at the top of our list with this. Carolina at Atlanta. Devontae Freeman's out. Carolina beat the Cowboys in Week 1, but it turns out beating the Cowboys isn't all that hard to do. So, who are you
You're getting the stank eye from Alexis
over
there.
Well, I mean, she had her Kentucky Wildcats beating Florida last year, first time in 31 years. She can be happy with that, but the Cowboys, they stink.
They're not great. They're beat up on the O-line, though, and Carolina's front seven is one of the best in the league. Kawan Short, obviously one of the best D tackles in the game. Matt Ryan's going to have trouble throwing the ball. He already has trouble finding Julio Jones in the end zone. He's going to have a lot more problems with those guys coming at him. So I just don't it's not anyone else except Matt Ryan on Atlanta for me. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done.
I'm going with Carolina as well, because I know Julio had a decent game in Philadelphia, but they just seem to crumble when it matters most. So I'm taking Carolina as well. Not a big game. Cam Newton in that game last week was, I had it written down here somewhere, but Matt Ryan was 21 of 43, 251 yards, and an interception. So I'm not really sold on the Falcons yet, so I'll take Carolina as well. Now, Minnesota at Green Bay is an interesting game.
Yep.
Because we have an asterisk next to me picking Green Bay, because that is dependent solely on if Aaron Rodgers plays or not. He is listed as questionable.
Yeah. Vegas, by the way, we talk about Vegas too much on this show maybe, but Vegas doesn't think Aaron Rodgers is going to start. He's minus 350 to start, so.
Vegas is where the money's at.
Yeah, I mean, they're smart. They know what they're talking about up there, but I mean, I'm taking Minnesota regardless of Aaron Rodgers or not. He's going to be on a bum knee if he plays, and obviously that was too much for the Bears, but the Bears' defense isn't Minnesota's defense. I know they just got, oh my gosh.
The Bears, Khalil Mack.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. But, yeah, they just got Khalil Mack, but they're still not Minnesota's defense.
No, Minnesota is a really good defense, and a hobbled Aaron Rodgers is still better than a really healthy DeShone Kizer, because we saw that last week. He is not very good. ESPN
Hot
has
take, Reed. Hot
yeah,
take.
that's as you said, a truther. DeShone Kizer, not good, guys. ESPN's struggling a little bit on their over-under with the Vikings-Packers. It is -1, according to them, and that is very, very hard to do in the National Football League.
That is.
Yes, and Green Bay is a 1-point favorite. I don't know. That's kind of skewed there, which the 1-point favorite wouldn't surprise me. I'm taking the Packers if Aaron Rodgers plays. They're not good without Aaron Rodgers, but
they're not.
He finds
we saw that
a way.
Last year.
He finds a way. He finds a way.
I don't think he's going to find a way on Sunday.
I didn't think he's going to find a way down 17-0 at halftime with a broken leg, but leg not broken. I mean, he rides off into the sunset crying. You think, oh, it's all over. The Packers are over, and then let alone the immortal Aaron Rodgers comes back and wins the game. So Cleveland and New Orleans. Cleveland, they did not lose in Week 1.
That's true. It's a big deal in Cleveland, but the Saints did lose in Week 1, but I'm not too worried about that. It's still Drew Brees and the Saints, you know. Cleveland's defense is much improved. The Browns in general are much improved, but I'm taking the Saints. Like, it's kind of like the Patriots. I will bet for Drew Brees until he's gone, until he proves me wrong.
Yeah, not a Drew Brees fan after the quote that came out this week. We'll get into that. Browns have the best start since 2004, and they didn't even win a game. So, I mean, Browns aren't good. They're better than they were last year, but they created 6 turnovers, and all they could do was tie. I'm taking New Orleans by a lot.
Same.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Patrick Mahomes in Week 1, 15-27, 267 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 2 of them to Tyreek Hill, who also had a punt return. Big Ben was awful in Week 1, but didn't lose. So who are you taking with Kansas City and Pittsburgh?
I'm taking your Chiefs, man. I don't know why you pick against the Chiefs all the time.
I want to ask you one question. Did I pick against the Chiefs last week?
Yes.
Did they win?
Yes.
There you go.
How can you not trust them, though?
How can I not? Logan,
in the regular season, they're great.
Oh, they find a way. They haven't beat Pittsburgh in the last 5 tries, I believe.
Do they play the Bills at all this season?
I do not think so. They play.
I was going to say, if they play the Bills, that's the one you pick against them.
Yeah.
That's the one they'll lose.
Yeah, probably.
But
would not surprise me.
In the regular season, they're golden. They're one of the best teams in the AFC, in my opinion, so I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay, I will take Pittsburgh because they seem to have an edge over. Last time they beat the Chiefs is when Landry Jones played, and, that's Landry Jones. So I will take the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they do make a lot of adjustments, learn their lesson in Week 1, and I do actually think that they do have an edge over Kansas City mentally. I just really think that they do. So I'll take Pittsburgh. So we got to go a little bit faster on these games.
Okay.
Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, which I believe is our last game to talk about.
Philadelphia. It's easy.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's not going to do what they did in Week 1.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick in Week 1 was 21-28, 417 yards for 4 touchdowns.
That's not happening.
Never, ever will happen ever again. Ever. Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard. You know that?
Smart guy. Went to Harvard.
He is not that good. And that was a fluke last week. The Saints defense really disappointed me. I think they'll play better in Cleveland, and I think Philadelphia easily will get the victory over Tampa Bay. So on to Drew Brees. Drew Brees came out
with a hot take. I guess, he might not think it's a hot take, but I do.
Well, he had a quote about Baker Mayfield, who we all know played at OU. He said that Baker, he can be a lot better than me. They are the same size. Baker's probably a little bulkier.
Yeah.
Drew Brees
More
said
athletic.
said he had a better arm, all that. Just terrible takes.
You don't think Drew Brees knows himself that well?
I think Drew Brees is being nice and respectful.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Drew Brees. He's a great humanitarian. He's one of the greatest passers of all time in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield will never be Drew Brees. Ever. He's not in a good organization, and I do not think that Baker Mayfield has the work ethic of Drew Brees. I seriously, I don't. Drew Brees goes and trains with Navy SEALs in the offseason. Baker Mayfield does underwear commercials. That's the difference. Drew Brees is a pro's pro. Baker Mayfield, no.
Yeah.
Find the video of Drew Brees getting arrested by a Fayetteville cop. Can't find it, can you?
No.
I don't buy into this Baker Mayfield stuff. I seriously, I don't dislike Baker. I seriously don't. But until he proves to me that he's a pro's pro and that football consumes his life, he's never be Drew Brees.
See, I'm trusting Drew Brees on this one. I think Drew Brees knows when he sees a good talent. Baker Mayfield's obviously, he's worth the number 1 overall pick for the Browns. So, who am I to say that I know more than Drew Brees? For all I know, Baker Mayfield is Drew Brees who can move the sticks with his legs.
Great take, because every first overall pick in the first round that Cleveland's ever had has just been worth the pick. Smart thinking there, Logan.
I'm just saying, if Drew Brees sees it, I don't know why I can't agree with Drew Brees.
He's just being nice.
What if he's
dirt
right?
that we're going to talk about on Luka Doncic. How many times in the history of sports have we seen this? Look at John Gruden's quote on Nathan Peterman.
But Drew Brees and Baker aren't even teammates. Why would Drew Brees prop him up? Why would he say anything about him at all?
Because he was asked about it.
You can just be like, he'll be fine. You can
Drew
blow
Brees is a nice
the
guy.
question off. He didn't have to say he would be better than him. He could have said, I think he'll be a good NFL quarterback, which would have been fine to answer that question. Don't you agree? He obviously sees something there.
Well, a lot of people see something, but I'm not saying that he'll be a bad quarterback. I'm just saying he's not going to be Drew Brees.
He could be better.
But, okay, so last night, we only have a few seconds left. The Bengals beat the Ravens 34-23. A.J. Green, 5 receptions, 69 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Andy Dalton was better than Joe Flacco last night, but I still don't believe in the Bengals or the Ravens.
Same.
So we do have to get out of here and take our second break, but we'll be back to talk about all the injuries and the headlines in the NBA. But we do want to thank another one of our sponsors, that OSU Communications. You can count on all of your OSU Communications for your game day tips. They know all things game day from the walk to tailgating. We will be right back on OSU Student Radio KXZY, Suddenlink Channel 112.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back to One on One on OSU Student Radio, KXZY Sunlink Channel 112. What is it, Logan's Friday, September
14th.
14th, on the eve of the Boise State game, the biggest game for Oklahoma State, but we will jump into that if we have enough time this segment. We might have to shift around some fantasy stuff because we do have to talk about the Cowboys. But we are live from Studio 318 on the beautiful campus of Oklahoma State University. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosher. Some big news out of Oklahoma this week. Russell Westbrook will not be playing basketball for at least 4 weeks, and he might miss the first few games of the season with arthroscopic knee surgery in his right knee, I believe.
Yep.
Take it away, Logan. You're my basketball guy.
All right. Obviously, he's not missing the first game of the season, everyone. I hate to spoil that, but it's the Golden State Warriors. If Russell Westbrook wants to play, he's going to go out there and play. You know what I mean? They say reevaluate in 4 weeks. It wasn't that invasive of a surgery. He should be good to go by then. Obviously, he's going to sit out the preseason. It's his 12th or 11th season, something. I think it might be 13th. But anyway, too many. He's played a lot of seasons. He doesn't need the preseason. He's beyond that. He'll be in shape, ready to go for opening night. But if you think he's missing the Golden State game, you're crazy.
This Paul George's team now.
Oh, my gosh.
Just kidding.
That's all it takes.
So Russell Westbrook, he hasn't had knee surgery in 4 years after the collision with
Patrick Beverly.
Which people are still mad about.
Yeah. Patrick Beverly is not well liked in this state.
No, because that was probably the Thunder's year.
It was. I mean, every year's our year until someone gets hurt. You can look at last year. Everyone was saying it's our year, and then Roberson gets hurt, and it's next year's our year. Yeah. We're kind of like Cowboys fans in that way, but yeah.
Don't do yourself like that.
I mean, there are a lot of people that are like. I'm just saying.
Don't compare yourself to a Cowboys fan. You don't have to do that. It's okay.
I already did. It's out there. But anyway. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. He's had 4 surgeries on this knee before, but like you said, the last one was 4.5 years ago after that collision when they took out his meniscus. This doesn't worry me at all. I mean, Russell Westbrook's played a lot of minutes the past couple seasons, had a really high usage rate. I believe he's led the league at least once in the past 2 years, maybe both years, but it's not that big a deal. He's still the MVP. He's still Brody.
Yeah, I don't think missing preseason games for a pro like Russell Westbrook, an MVP guy, I do think the minutes piling up. I was talking about this with Chris. I think it is of concern how much he plays and the way he plays. I don't think Russell Westbrook has that much longer.
No, his style of play is not built for a 20-year career at that high of a level.
Yeah, the way he's playing.
He'll have to adjust his game somehow if he wants to have longevity. As a starter, he can obviously, transition to be a spark off the bench. Whether he wants to do that later in his career, I think we're way too far back to look at that. But I think this is going to be a good time to see what Dennis Schroeder can do for the Thunder. New acquisition in the offseason in that Carmelo Anthony trade. He's going to be our backup anyway, but I think if he gets some time with the starting unit, you can start to give Russell Westbrook some rest during games and, take down those minutes and still have a competent point guard out there to run the show. Because, I mean, the Thunder have not really had that the past couple of seasons.
Well, it is news, but not devastating news to the Thunder, as you mentioned.
Yep.
But speaking of playing ill-advised minutes, let's move over to the Minnesota Timber Bulls, as they are now called. Luol Deng is joining former Bulls head coach Tom Thibodeau. He's joining
and
Jimmy
teammates
Butler,
Derrick Rose,
Taj Gibson. Yeah, the Timber Bulls, they are not very good. They made the playoffs, but
they're pretty good if you make the playoffs in the West. But
yeah, but they could be.
They have
better.
not gotten better this offseason. That's for sure. And
they hurt themselves probably more than any other team in the NBA. Like they just shoot themselves in the foot. repeatedly.
Yeah.
So Luol Deng signs a 1-year contract with the Timberwolves, as I guess we will give them their real name. Chris had a fit over this, which I just absolutely loved. Karl Anthony Towns is coming up on a free agent.
Restricted free agency.
Yes.
Jimmy Butler will be an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, I think they're both gone.
I think they'll keep Towns just because they can match any offer sheet. They'll have the cap space to keep him, but will he want to be there?
That's the question.
I don't know. I think one of those guys is definitely gone, if not both of them. I think Butler's long gone. If I'm running the Timberwolves, I trade him before the deadline in February, get something for him, but it's going to be tough to do if you can't trade him to a place where he wants to stay. This was a bad move in hindsight by the Timberwolves, but you can't say that on draft night. On draft night when they made that trade for Jimmy Butler, it was going to take them to the next step, and it kind of did. It took them to the playoffs. It was a short run in the playoffs, but Tom Thibodeau has proven that the coach-GM combination doesn't work, and we already saw that with Stan Van Gundy. Doc Rivers got his general manager duties taken away. Stan Van Gundy got straight up fired. I mean, it's not a good idea to have a guy doing both jobs.
No, it is not, and I just don't think it's ever worked in Minnesota. I don't think it's going to work.
No.
He's a good defensive coach. He's not a good head coach.
They're not even a good defensive team, though, which is the weirdest thing.
Because you can attribute a lot of Boston's success and with the big three to Tom Thibodeau, and Doc Rivers has pretty much said that. I mean, they owe a lot to Thibodeau, but they were all right in Chicago. But I mean, he's kind of a middle of the road, all right coach, but that's not what you're looking for in the NBA. You want continued success, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau is the answer, but Luol Deng certainly isn't the answer. It's only a 1-year deal.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Chris, Thibodeau's there for a couple more years.
Yeah, but that Minnesota doing Minnesota things, so what do you expect? Now let's get on to another legend praising a rookie.
Yeah.
Dirk came out and said, Dirk Nowitzki, maybe one of the greatest, probably the greatest Maverick of all time.
Oh, definitely.
Certainly.
Yeah. Best European player of all time, too.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of quotes about here. I could shoot a little bit at 19, but never had the court vision, the savviness, and the stuff that he brings to the game. Speaking of Luka Doncic, that he says just the way he already picks and rolls. You go under, he shoots if the man goes over. He kind of keeps him behind him like the best, like Chris Paul and these guys do. He does all of that. He's going to be fun to watch. And I said, oh, yeah, I can shoot a little bit, and like we just said. It's kind of like Baker Mayfield and Drew Brees. Maybe they feel that way, but I feel like you see this all the time. Next year we'll see a Hall of Famer coming out and praising a guy on their team or somebody that they've become close with, and it just won't pan out. Do you make anything about what Dirk said about Luka Doncic?
I do. I've been high on Luka Doncic since before the draft. I'm big on the draft. I followed it for a long time. I thought he should have been the #1 overall pick. Was surprised he fell to the Hawks at 3, and then even more surprised when they traded him to the Mavericks for Trae Young.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Not a good trade. Great for the Mavericks though. He's a 6'8" guy. He plays the power forward position, but like Dirk said, he can run the pick and roll. He is a great playmaker. I think he's gonna be a really great player in the league. I think Dirk nailed this one.
Well, I think that Luka Doncic's in the best situation possible because he is with a guy who's done this. The last part of this quote, obviously I don't want to put too much pressure on him. Coming over from a different country, I went through the same thing about 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's tough to adjust to a lot of things, living in a different country, another culture, to a different game, different coaching, and different play style. For me, that took a full year. My first year was really, really tough. So I think he is probably in the best position possible being with Dirk. That is, and maybe that's why the Mavericks did that. Maybe Mark Cuban finally did something smart.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have a lot of success outside of that 2011 season, especially if you look at their drafting, like who they let Steve Nash go because they didn't want to pay Steve Nash. Yeah. Steve Nash went on to win 2 MVPs, and the Mavericks ultimately won a championship. But yeah, I mean,
I say the only smart thing Mark Cuban's done outside of starting a billion-dollar company.
Well, that decision can kind of carry you for a couple of bad ones.
One good decision, and you're set for life. We're not there yet, Logan, but maybe one day. So you are all on board with Luka Doncic.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think Dirk's going to be the best mentor for Luka Doncic as possible. Dirk, like I said, the best overseas player of all time. He's going to be able to teach him how to adjust to life in the United States, the speed of the game, just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so let's move quickly. We were going to talk about Major League Baseball, but the Pokes are more prominent in baseball right now. So we're going to squeak that in the bottom of this segment. Tomorrow at 2:30, they kick off against Boise State Broncos. 2 top 25 offenses and defenses will be on the field. Give me some keys to the game for Oklahoma State tomorrow.
I mentioned this on the show Wednesday with Robert. The secondary is the key for me on defense. I mean, I've seen that secondary. It's obviously not the same guys. They kind of get unfocused in the second half, and bad stuff happens for the Cowboys. And I don't want to see that tomorrow. And then on offense, my key's probably the O-line. They had trouble against South Alabama. We got to get the run game going. That's, I think, our greatest strength. So, and I think the O-line is the most important part of that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the offense has to be on point. Everyone just has to be at their best game to beat Boise State. You got to get Justice Hill involved. He's your best player.
Yep.
Robert talked about that on Wednesday, but you absolutely have to get touches to Justice Hill. I know they want to keep him around 15 a game, but if you need to go over,
this is a game where I think you're going to have to go over.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to go over. Don't make careless mistakes. I'm looking at you, Taylor Cornelius. Don't throw interceptions because they're going to make you pay, unlike South Alabama and Missouri State. You cannot miss easy throws. I think, Robert talked about that, and truly that's why I think this. They are going to open up the playbook. Both teams are Saturday. That 4-2-5, they can't get lost out in space. They have to make tackles when they have them because against this Boise State team, there's going to be a lot of times when it's just Calvin Bundage and maybe somebody in the slot.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tackle a fast guy like that when you're a linebacker. You have to make those tackles. You can't let them get loose. You know, they have the number 9 overall defense, Oklahoma State, right now, but that's the first 2 weeks are kind of iffy right now versus the number 4 offense, which will be from Boise State. But Brett Rippon's got 667 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's 4-1 of 56 in the first 2 games. They have played UConn and Troy. They had a close game with Troy. It was 56-20, but the time of possession was in Troy's favor. The only thing that went the Broncos' way was turnovers, and they capitalized on them. So Oklahoma State cannot do this. Taylor Cornelius, 728 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, 50 of 75. So, how well, seriously, I'm like 1 mistake or 0 mistakes, how well does he have to play tomorrow?
He's got to play the best, obviously the best game he's played all year.
Oh, that's not saying much.
Yeah, well, I think he can afford to have a couple, not a lot of turnovers, obviously. He can miss some miss some open guys, but no turnovers. That's how many mistakes he can make.
And I say not saying much like he's not leading the number 1 offense in the country. I think, like me and many other folks, saw how confident Gundy was, and you just kind of seen him make silly mistakes that you didn't see Mason. Mason still made mistakes, but you didn't see him as often in games like that. So I say that, and it's not fair to Taylor Cornelius. It's really not. He's not Mason Rudolph, but it's not like he's lost the first 2 games. He's just made silly mistakes that we're not used to seeing, and you just want to see him get better before tomorrow. So I hope that he is, and I think he could be. So what I said probably wasn't fair to Taylor Cornelius. Like I said, they do have the first overall offense, but he just can't make mistakes tomorrow. And unfortunately, if he does make a couple mistakes and the rest of the team doesn't do well, all the blame's going to fall on Taylor Cornelius, which isn't fair at all.
No, I agree. Who are you picking to win?
Probably at this point, Boise State. And I don't want Boise State to win. We are here in Stillwater. I think that Oklahoma State has the potential to win, and they very well could. But if they play like they did the last 2 weeks, and Boise State plays like they did last week, I'm taking Boise State. You're facing a 4-year starter at quarterback. Brett Rippon is very, very talented. He could probably play in the NFL. So I think it will be close for most of the game, but in the end, I think Boise State's going to be just a little bit too much for kind of an inexperienced Oklahoma State team.
Yeah, I'm picking the Cowboys. Home field advantage. I think Taylor Cornelius is going to play that game we've all been waiting to see. I think it's not going to be a perfect game by any means, but I think everything's going to kind of fall in place, and we're going to be able to squeak out.
So what kind of score are you looking at?
42-38, something like that.
So you think it'll be close?
It's going to be close.
It is going to be a very, very interesting game. But it kicks off at 2:30, so if you can, go out to Boone Pickens tomorrow. Be loud, wear orange or white, depending on what section you're in. You can't, and don't leave at halftime. Stay all 4 quarters because they will need you tomorrow. You need to be loud. Boone Pickens has to be rocking all game. Have faith in the Cowboys. I think they have the potential to do it. So if they play their best game, they certainly can knock off the Broncos. We do have to get out of here before we get into our fantasy football segment, which is always fun, Logan. But we do want to thank a couple of our sponsors at the table. Stop by the table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetable.osu.com for more information. And Campbell Property Management. If you are looking for luxury living in Stillwater, please contact Campbell Property Management at 405-372-9225 or visit their website at campbellmgmt.com for more information. Thank you to our sponsors, and we will take a quick break here on 101 OSU Student Radio KXZY, Suddenlink Channel 112. Welcome back to One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXZY, Suddenlink Channel 112, live on Facebook and YouTube as well. We are live from Studio 318 on the beautiful campus of Oklahoma State University. It's Friday, which means it is time for Fantasy Friday. Logan, as we saw on the bump in there, Andy Dalton did enough to win last night, but he's still Andy Dalton at the end of the day. So
I thought you were going to say A.J. Green did enough. I mean,
hey,
he did.
A.J. Green doesn't do anything.
David's up there with Kenny. They play each other this week. David has A.J. Green. Kenny had Joe Flacco, I think, and maybe Baltimore kicker or something like that. So David's got to be up there talking smack. He better be. I can't hear him, obviously, but I hope he is.
Well, it's pretty easy to talk smack on Kenny's team, I will say.
Kenny almost won last week.
Which is remarkable. The meme team is, they're not great, but
I like them.
All faith in Kenny. He's going to do a great job. Let's get into his quarterback. So let's go with stardom.
Okay.
So you take off, and then I'll get into my quarterback. So we'll do stardom across the board, and then we'll do sit-em. So let's go through all of our starts through all positions, and then we'll go across sit-em.
Okay. My quarterbacks to start this week were, hold on, give me just a second to find my notes. There we go. They helped me out upstairs. Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins plays Green Bay. Their defense is obviously not great. And Patrick Mahomes, that Pittsburgh defense, ever since they lost Ryan Shazier last season, they're undisciplined. They're not really that great. And Patrick Mahomes showed last week he can tear up a defense. He tore up the Chargers. And,
Yeah, I have Drew Brees because Drew Brees had a big game last week, got out-dueled by Ryan Fitzpatrick, which is
weird.
Which is just remarkable. He had 31.6 points last week. He's projected 17.2, but against Cleveland, I think he's going to exceed that 25 mark again. And also Phillip Rivers because, listen, I'm saying this now, start all Chargers because the Bills don't look very good.
You have a theme for your starters.
The Bills aren't great, but here's the deal. in professional sports, when a team absolutely gets obliterated and their butt kicked and embarrassed, they tend to respond well because they are professional athletes. I don't think the Chargers blow out the Bills, but I don't think they win. I think Buffalo will be a lot better, but not good enough to win. Phillip Rivers had 29 points last week. He's projected 6.2. I think, much like Drew Brees, he's probably going over that 25 mark. So at running back, who are you starting?
Adrian Peterson, man. AP, I'm not going to say he's back to what he was, but as long as he gets the bulk of the carries, he's still an effective fantasy running back. And who do they play this week? I'm trying to see it right
here. The Redskins?
I believe. No.
Adrian Peterson?
Yeah, who do they play?
Oh, good Lord. I don't even remember who they played. There's a lot of – who's the other guy that you're – I mean, Adrian Peterson last week had an all right game, but everyone wanted to see the old AP, and you're just not going to see it anymore.
No, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to see the old AP anymore, but, I mean, they're playing the Colts. Thank you, Alexis. Alexis has helped me off screen. Alexis is the MVP of this show. I'm just going to put that out there. But
maybe the Cowboys should hire her.
They should. They would. I think they would be a better organization if they did.
Oh.
But James Conner plays your Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't really love the Chiefs' defense, to say the least. I don't think you do either. But he put up a lot of points last week against Cleveland, so I think he's going to do the same.
Yeah, James Conner can have a good game. That defense made the Chargers might have won had they not dropped 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah, that
so
hurts.
I'm going Melvin Gordon. This Bills defense is not very good. I think they'll be a lot better, but not quite good enough to win. Last week he had 18.6. He's projected 14.4. I'm going around 20 points for Melvin Gordon this week. So I think that is a good start. And Todd Gurley tore up the Raiders for 20 points last week, almost 21. He's projected 18.4 this week against the Cardinals. You saw what Adrian Peterson was able to do.
Yeah.
And the Redskins, I don't think are that good. So I think that Sean McVay will get Todd Gurley involved a lot in the second half, much like last week, and wear him down. I think he has a lot of points, over 25 this week for Todd Gurley.
I could see that. And for wide receivers, my Emmanuel Sanders plays for my Broncos. Going down to Oakland, that defense is just awful.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, and Antonio Brown plays your Chiefs. I guess I kind of have a theme with my starters too, but I don't think the Chiefs secondary is going to be able to hold Antonio Brown to anything less than 20 points.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I'm starting Keenan Allen at Buffalo. Last week he had 16.8. He's projected 11.5. I'm going over 15 points for Keenan Allen. This weekend, Tyreek Hill, 35.3 points last week, had a punt return as well, and 10.7 points projected this week. I think the Steelers will try and stop him, but you can only do so much with Tyreek Hill. I think he only has 15 points, but that is a solid start at wide receiver. And tight end, what do you got for me this week?
Kyle Rudolph plays the Packers. I don't like the Packers defense. I like Kyle Rudolph. He was my sleeper for the year at the tight end position. And I like Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. I know he didn't have like a off-the-wall game, and I know you're not very high on him in general, but I like Kirk Cousins.
Not guaranteed contract high on him, no.
Yeah. And Zach Ertz, he didn't have a fantastic game last week, but he plays the Bucs this week. I think Nick Foles is going to have a better game, and with Alshon Jeffrey still out, I think he's going to be the go-to.
All right, so I have Jordan Reed against the Colts. He had 10.8 last week. He's projected at 7. The Colts are not very good defensively. I think that Jordan Reed's going to have a little bit better game this week. I think he gets around 14, 15 points this week. Travis Kelce last week did not.
No.
0.6 points. When you have Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, and Sammy Watkins, it can be hard to get everyone involved. I think that Travis Kelce will get a lot more involved because, like I said, they're going to try and stop Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
They won't be able to a certain point. I think Travis Kelce has a big game this week, around 14 or 15 points as well. All right, now the sit-em, not as fun.
Yeah,
no. We don't have to go as extensive into these. You are sitting.
I'm sitting Russell Wilson. I know that's a big gamble, but plays the Bears. You saw what they did to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, for the first half, was lucky to come back.
They nearly broke the man.
Obviously, I hope that doesn't happen to Russell Wilson, but the Bears defense is for real. I thought
in the first half.
Yeah, in the first half. And Matt Ryan's going to, like I said earlier, he's going to have a lot of trouble against Carolina with that front seven.
And Matt Ryan. You are sitting Matt Ryan as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going Ryan Fitzpatrick. He had 42.3, led the league in fantasy points last week. That'll never happen again.
Nope.
Ever. And if it does, Logan will quit doing the show.
What?
I really don't think it. That's how confident I am, Logan.
You're willing to bet my position on the show. I like it.
17 points projected this week against the Eagles. That front seven, no. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not going to have a fun Sunday at all. Set him.
Yeah.
Set him. 6.2 points last week for Derek Carr.
He had an awful game.
Yeah, he threw interceptions that I don't think my grandmother would throw. They were terrible.
Yeah.
14.1 projected against the Broncos.
Not going to happen.
Nope. No. That's sympathy points right there.
Yeah.
I'm going way below 10 again this week. Set him. At running back.
Send Marshawn Lynch. They go to Denver, or maybe Denver goes to Oakland. I can't remember. Either way.
Oakland goes to Denver,
yeah.
I do believe.
Even worse. We held Ezekiel Elliott to 8 rushing yards last season, and Marshawn Lynch is definitely not Ezekiel Elliott. That's all I got to say about that.
No,
and
he's not.
Tevin Coleman, I just don't like their matchup this week.
No,
that's all I can say about that.
Okay, so I'm sitting Devontae Freeman, and I said that before he was ruled out. So he just wasn't healthy, so if he did play, he's going to be banged up. So that's my guy, but he's out, so really set him. He had 5 points last week. He was projected 0.1 points in fantasy this week, but he's out. So, and I'm sitting Marshawn Lynch as well. I just don't like that Oakland offense. I just really don't like it. He had almost 11 points last week. He's projected 8.9. They get him some touches, but I don't think he does enough to score any points. So wide receiver, who are you sitting?
Sitting Mike Evans. I don't like Ryan Fitzpatrick to start either, so I'm definitely not going to like Mike Evans' production this week. And Randall Cobb against the Vikings secondary, not going to be a good time.
No. So we kind of have to wrap up here. I'm setting Julio Jones. They were not good in Philadelphia week 1. I don't think they'll be great against the Panthers this week. We'll see if Luke Kuechly plays. Randall Cobb, I'm setting him. He had 20.2 points last week, but 7.1 projected against that ferocious Vikings front. I don't think he's going to play well. Who are you setting at tight end really quickly?
I believe I'm sitting Jared Cook. Again, not going to have a good time in Denver. And who was my second one?
I'm setting Jimmy Graham because he's had 1 point last week, 0.8 actually, and they're playing the Vikings this week. I don't think it's going to be good. 6.6 points this week. Will Dissly, much like Ryan Fitzpatrick, was a anomaly last week.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen again. So if you picked him up and thought you were smart, let's be smart and let's sit him.
Let's see who picked him up. Sorry, Landon, you're not smart. You should sit him.
Well, Landon's pretty smart, but you should probably sit him. So we'll get out of here. Thank you for watching. We'll be back live on Monday at 2:30. You've been watching OSU Student Radio KXZY. This is one-on-one on OSU Student Radio KXZY, Sunlink Channel 112. So for Logan and I, get out to Boone Pickens tomorrow. We will see you live on Monday at 2:30.
Your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
KXZY prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust.